You even know about this, Casey, but I ran across this just looking at the internet here, and
Oh, geez.
I thought this kind of sums things up. It says, founder, talking about Casey Eberhart, founder of the popular blog site, theidealnetworker.com. He's sought after as a speaker and has led countless leadership seminars across the nation. Since the release of Stepping Stones to Success, a book he co-authored with Deepak Chopra and Jack Canfield last fall. I mean, talk about.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Good for you.
Yeah, it says his formulas are simple and easy to learn. An entrepreneur most of his life, Casey has a special affinity for home-based businesses. His training programs employ a series of easy-to-follow steps that will help you reach your true awesomeness. Whatever industry you're in. Sit back, buckle up, and hear Casey roar. Sharpen your pencil, you'll hang on every word. And with that, Casey.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. So, I gotta tell you, just before we start, I'm not gonna do a whole thing where I tell you a bunch about myself because I think this is such a powerful content hour. I'm gonna tell you just a couple of things about me, just to set the stage for this. First off, I have done 53 real estate transactions myself personally. I am not a realtor, I am a consumer. So I have bought and sold 26 houses, and I currently have a house, so that's why there's an odd number. I speak fluent realtor, okay? I speak fluent realtor. One of my best lessons I ever learned was, let me set this up. I speak at about 50 to 70 real estate offices just like this every single year. I'm actually happy to be home because I just got back from Dallas and Las Vegas, so happy to be here back in town. So first, Pina, thank you for hooking me up with Mike. Mike, thank you for hooking me up with Joe. And Joe, just thank you for just being awesome.
Thank you.
The other thing is, we're going to talk today about the trap of technology. And so I want to set the context for this morning's conversation in that there are going to be several conversations that occur throughout the next hour. The conversation that I have with you, the conversation that you have with me, because this is going to be very interactive and a conversation. Third, the conversation that when we're done, you're going to have with yourselves, each other. And fourth, and finally, the conversation that happens with yourself. He's talking technology, I'm scared, I heard somebody talk about something opposite of him before, so on and so forth. It's that fourth conversation that I'm going to ask just for the next hour, you put on hold. I'm going to say some stuff that might be outside your scope. That's cool, take it in, soak it in, we can discuss it after. I promise you I'll collapse all of it for you and make it simple and easy to understand. There are going to be some stuff that you go, oh my gosh, but our managers told us this. Joe told us this last week. It's in conflict. We love that. Becomes out of conflict. What do you get to do? You get to make a decision, right? And the decision to make a decision is in fact a decision, right? So I'm going to play right off of Joe's conversation with you guys this morning, and I want to talk about technology. So let me say a couple of things ahead of time. I want you to each think of a 15-year-old in your life. Okay? Could be your son, your kid, the kid that rips the plants out of the flower bed at your house, the kid that's bullying your kid, so on and so forth. Everybody have a 15-year-old in your head? Raise your hand when you do. I don't care who it is. I want to make sure I got all hands raised. No 15-year-old? Can you think of an actor that might be 15? Kid walking down the street that's 15.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, let me just break this down for you. You have 1,000 days until they run the world. You have 1,000 days to figure out how to sell to them, or you're out of business. So we've got to figure out how we meet them where they are. Right? I mean, look around this room. You guys are the top producing agents in this office. Look around. Who's the youngest one in here? Right? You're talking, maybe 35, 40 years old. Right, but then you go do a first-time home buyer meeting, and the room is filled with 18 to 30-year-olds. So we have to look at doing business a little bit differently going forward. Right? So if you look at doing business a little bit differently, and if we can include technology in this, we might be able to collapse and condense. Instead of having to do 50 outbound cold calls, we only have to do 20 because we're still getting the same business. Right? Our job as realtors is to educate the consumer. Right? Now, let me say this. I asked probably half of you before we started where most of your business comes from. and every single person said the word referral out of their mouth. Right? Bless you.
Thank you.
Okay? Now, I want to just set this referral thing on its head for a second. Let me ask you a question. Guys, I want you to think, ladies, I want you to think of an OBGYN. One of the most personal decisions that you have to make is who to use as an OBGYN. This is why I think it is very scary for you to run your business on the referral model. Here's why. What's your name?
Angelica.
Angelica. Let me ask you this. You move to Los Angeles, and you meet me at a networking event. And at that networking event, you go, you know what, Casey? I can tell that you are really connected here in Los Angeles. I need the referral for a good OBGYN. I give you the name of Dr. Jones, and I give you her phone number, and I give you her website. On a percentage basis, what is the likelihood that you're going to call Dr. Jones, make an appointment as an OBGYN, and go into that OBGYN office without doing any research on her whatsoever?
I will research her first.
You'll research her first. So, Angelica, when you're researching her and you go to Google and you type in her name in Google, if nothing shows up, nothing comes up in Google, are you going to call her?
No.
No, why not? The referral came from me. I'm a trustworthy guy.
I just met you.
You just met me. So I want you to think about this. The real question isn't how much business are you getting from referrals, because I gave the referral for Dr. Jones. Dr. Jones would be excited. But now we have the second part of that, which is Angelica's going to go research that person. If there's nothing online about that person, Dr. Jones just lost the referral. Two, by the way, some other OBGYN, whether she's good, bad, or indifferent, doesn't make a difference. It's only he or she who occupies the most space online. Think about that for a second. You are competing with each other. You are competing with a whole mess load of agents out there in the marketplace. You have a lot of competition. So a lot of you are going out and making calls and doing all this stuff, and at the end of the day, people might be giving your name and number to somebody, and then you're going and being researched, and they go on Google and they can't find you. You're not educating, right? You're not being a pillar in the community. You're not being an asset to anybody. You're just out trying to farm and get more business. Whereas if we can flip that and educate the consumers, become a leader in our profession, and become an asset to those that we serve and are surrounding ourselves by, then the referral becomes collapsed, because now we have a place where we can put that and digitize it. Once it's digitized, it occupies space online. And now we have something when somebody searches for us, they find us. Does that scare you guys? No? Perfect. Okay. So, how many of you absolutely get up and love going to networking events? I mean, like, it's just joneses you. You just love it. It's awesome.
If you consider Facebook,
I don't consider Facebook a networking event.
I'm used to.
Right? Okay, why don't you like going to networking events? Nobody raised their hand that they like, so...
The last time I went to one, they already had a realtor in their group, and I wasn't sure why they invited me in the first place. If they already had a realtor in their group, and they weren't looking for a realtor, then I didn't fit in. What was the purpose of them inviting me if they already had a realtor?
Okay. Choice.
Right.
That'd be one. What else? Why don't you guys like going to Chamber of Commerce events?
Most people are looking for leads from us more than they're looking to help us.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is you go to a Chamber of Commerce, and let's set the scene. There's 150 people hawking 150 products to 150 people that aren't there to buy anything, because they're there to sell their 150 products to the same 150 people that aren't there to buy it. Yes. Meanwhile, you guys a big mess, and Triscuits, cheese cubes, and bad 2-buck chuck wine in the back for your 20 bucks, if best.
Yeah, it's boring.
It's boring, right? So what I want to do this morning is, come on in, come on in. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Awesome.
Sorry,
No, don't be sorry. Let's talk about how we can go to a networking event and flip it to be our advantage. And I promise you that if you take what I'm going to show you this morning and implement it in your business, this making 50 calls, if I can just collapse that to 30 a day, or give you some of your time back so that you can do more high leverage activities, more income producing activities, the better off you'll be, right? Okay, so can we talk about that?
Yep.
You don't have a choice, but. So here's what I'm going to do. I have come up with a way that you can go to any networking event, live or digitally, create a bunch of digital assets, what we'll talk about, and be able to position yourself in a completely different way than all of your competition. Would that be of interest to you?
Yes.
Okay. So, also let me say this. I don't want to sell you guys a bunch of stuff at the end of this. Okay, I'm going to give you one small, tiny opportunity. It's far more important. I want to be asked back because I wanted to come and listen to Joe again, frankly. You might see me sneaking in the back here every once in a while. So Bruce, go ahead and pass these out. I created a little worksheet for you that is going to literally walk us through a live networking event. Now let me say this. When I go to a networking event, I do not take business cards. And I make it a game to not tell people what I do at a networking event. And here's why. We just figured out that nobody's there to buy anything, right? Everybody there is to sell something. So wouldn't it be an interesting concept if we positioned ourselves as a buyer? Think about that. Are you going to be less likely or more likely to engage in conversations if someone thinks that you are open to the idea of listening to them yammer on about their business? Right? They are going to want to talk to you because they're all there to sell their crap. Right? And if you're just one of the herd trying to sell your crap, no one's there to buy anyway, so why try to sell anything? Let's go position ourselves as buyers for whatever. Okay? Now, I don't take business cards. What I do take is a Sharpie everywhere I go. The reason I take a Sharpie everywhere I go is because I'm not interested in going to an event and passing out 50 business cards to somebody, because the reality is those 50 people are going to do what with your business card? Throw it away. Before they do what? Take your email address, put you on their list, and sell you their crap. Right? So at the very least, if I don't take business cards, I don't risk that, and I get to collect 50 business cards and put them on my list and sell them my crap. It's he or she who's in control of the flow of information is going to win this game. Right? The reason I take a Sharpie is because I also code business cards. How many of you go and you get into a conversation with somebody and at the end of it you just go, that was just disgusting. And you really want to have nothing to do with this person, right? And then there are other times you get business cards and at the end of it you go, oh my gosh, I have to make sure to follow up with this person because this is that vitally important. A Sharpie does that for you. Right? I actually code them with a star or a smiley face. Star means I want to contact you afterwards and I want to follow up. Smiley face means I think you're a dumbass. Right? True story, I used to actually write dumbass on the cards. And then I was at the Anaheim Disneyland Hotel doing an event. And I'm like, this guy's got commission breath just breathing it on me. It was disgusting. So I'm like, dumbass. And then I put that business card in the fishbowl for the $50 gas card I'm never going to leave.
Oh my God.
And the guy comes back to me, he's like, yo, dude, I totally forgot. My cell phone number was wrong on that business card. I got to get my card back and rewrite my cell phone number. Right? And all of a sudden, like, the beads of sweat start forming on my forehead because now I'm going to have to get this guy's business card back and it says dumbass on it. It's now a happy face. Right? So come up with some way for you to code who you want to connect with at an event. Okay? So when I go to an event, I'm literally only looking to talk to 5 people at every single event. This is an hour of your time. It's a way I can transform a networking event from being a non-profit experience to a completely profitable experience. Okay? So I go with 5 people to talk to at every single networking event. And it doesn't matter whether it's a funeral, barbecue, or Chamber of Commerce meeting. I use the same formula everywhere I go. See, here's the thing. You have to surround yourself with people of influence. Right? What Joe was talking about earlier this morning is so true. Why is it that you and you have the same access to MLS, the same cubicle space, the same business card with different phone number, and one of you is successful and one of you isn't?
He's a dumbass.
He's a dumbass. That's the best response ever.
Every time.
Yeah. You might not have a cubicle when you get done with this, but nonetheless.
There might be a toilet in it instead of a chair.
Exactly. Here's the reality. First and foremost, it's the decision that you make to set yourself apart. It's the decision you make to be not like your competitors. That's really all it is. It's a decision. And you can make a decision to do what everybody else is doing, or you can make a decision to do something completely different. What I'm going to offer you right now is a completely different way of looking at a networking event. I know that what Jim Rohn also says is you're surrounded by your salary is approximately equal to the 5 people you spend most of your time standing around. So why do you want to continue to stand around people that are broke and making bad decisions and are having a cold and having the umbrella? Let's position ourselves to be surrounding ourselves with people of influence in our community, that whose referral and whose internet presence probably beats ours. And let's see if we can get next to them. Does that make sense? Okay, so here's my formula. It's actually fairly simple. When I go to a networking event, I spend the first half hour getting to know 5 people at every single event. The first person I get to know at every single event is the speaker. Right? Why would I want to get to know the speaker?
He's a speaker for some reason.
He's a speaker for some reason.
They have knowledge that I'd like to learn.
They have knowledge that you'd like to learn from. Okay. What else?
You want them to know you.
You want them to know you. We're getting close.
Dave brought everybody
They brought everybody there.
there. Tap into his leads.
What? Tap into his leads. Here's the thing. Right now, I am speaking from the front of the room. I have control of the room. Right? Now, if we were at a networking event, how many times have I mentioned Joe? Half a dozen few. Am I playing to his ego by doing that?
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely. Why? He's the owner of the joint. I want the dude to have me back. Right? But here's the reality. I made the decision to come and listen to him. I made the decision to learn from him, and I made the decision to actually take his presentation and map it into mine so that it's more effective. Right? How many of you are familiar with BNI? Most of you? Raise your hands just so I can see. Oh, only a few of you. Okay. I'll skip that story. No, I won't. So, in Woodland Hills, this is a few years ago, I went to a 500-person event where Ivan Meisner, the founder of BNI, was speaking on a new book that he had. I had done a little bit of research ahead of time. I knew what he was about. And I go to this event, and this is what the dude is doing. There's the whole stage set up. We got lights, cameras, the whole deal. Right? And here's Ivan Meisner sitting in the back, clear back in the back corner before the event ever starts, just drinking some coffee. Nobody is talking to them because they're all trying to sell each other their crap that no one's buying. So I walk right up to Ivan Meisner and I go, Dr. Meisner, hi, my name is Casey Eberhart. I just read your article in Networking Times on the Easter Rabbit and Santa Claus and how they are bad networking influences. I am so excited to hear you speak. He goes, Casey, what company are you with? And I told him, he said, would you do me a favor? Would you please sit in the front row, and when it comes time to Q&A, ask me that question, because it'll help me sell more books. Right? Because he was going to try to hawk a book at the end of this thing. I said, absolutely. So here is me at this 500-person event. I'm supposed to be sitting in the back, and all of a sudden I'm pushing people out of the way like crazy. I go completely sit down in the front row, and I'm just like this the whole time he's talking. Come on, Q&A section. Let's wrap this, whatever you're yammering about. Come on, let's get to the Q&A. And he says, does anybody have any questions? And I turn into Arnold Horseshack from Welcome Back, Kotter. Oh, me! Oh, over here! Right? And he goes, Casey. So I stand up, and for 11 minutes, Dr. Ivan Meisner talked about me and my organization in front of 500 people. He used his entire Q&A time and didn't even get a chance to sell his book. Right? So here's what happens. We finish the event, I walk outside, and I feel like Lady Gaga wearing a meat dress. Right? I got paparazzi following me everywhere I go. I am still working leads from that event, and that was 4 or 5 years ago. You want to know the speakers because if they talk about you from the front of the room, you're completely set aside. So the top circle is the speaker. Right? These are 5 people I meet. Second, the organizer of the event. Most of you pay your $20 at your networking event and you go in and then you start networking. Right? I go right to the organizer and I say, hey, do you need help carrying stuff in from your car? What do you need set up? What can I do to help? Why would I want to get to know the organizers?
Because they have a
Because they
database.
organize the
They have the
events.
database.
They organize the events so that you can get yours done.
Yep. What else? They know everybody in the room. They know who's sleeping with who. They know whose kids are bad at school. They know everything about you. They know who pays their bills. They know who doesn't. They hear all the gossip. So while everybody's mixing and mingling, trying to randomly bump into people they can give their business card to and try to give their 30-second commercial, I'm going straight to the person who knows everybody in the room, the person of influence, and I'm becoming friends with that person. That way, when I need a referral, who's going to be top of mind? You got the whole crowd over here, setting yourself aside over here. We got to increase the likelihood that we're standing around and hanging shoulder to shoulder with people of influence. Okay? Number 3, 4, and 5 are all the same at every event. You'll all know who they are just by this title. Yap job number 1, yap job number 2, and yap job number 3. Right? Think about the networking events you guys go to. I'm guessing you know who these people are before I even say who they are. Right? You'll know them because they won't talk to each other because they have to be one here and one has to be over here because, goodness gracious, if the spotlight shines down on two of them in the same conversation. Right? They're all holding court, they're telling jokes. They are the people of influence at that event. Now I call them yap jobs just because it's kind of a funny title. I'm a total yap job. I'm guessing you would figure that out. I'm a yap job. I go to an event, I'm talking, right? I'm going to connect with Pina, I'm going to connect with Joe, I'm going to connect with Mike. These are the people in this room of influence. Right? So, I spend 5 or so minutes with those 5 people, and my goal is simple. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce them to each other. Organizer to yap job to yap job to speaker, speaker to organizer, and I'm just going to play matchmaker. Right? Pina, I want you to meet Joe. Joe, I want you to meet Pina. Pina is an amazing, world-renowned speaker, trainer, author. Joe runs and owns Park Regency Realty, one of the top real estate agents industry-wide here in the Valley. I think you should get to know each other. And then I turn and I go pee. Did you guys catch that? I introduce them and then I turn and I walk away. Why do I walk away?
So they have to talk to each other.
They have to talk to each other. If those two go on to do millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars in transactions over the course of the next 10 years, who will forever get the credit of introducing them?
You.
I will. Meanwhile, everybody's over here trying to get their Triscuits and cheese cubes, trying to sell their stuff to each other that no one's buying. Meanwhile, I'm looking at myself and I'm going, how can I find the people of influence at that event and introduce them to each other? Okay? Once I do that and I make a couple introductions, the only thing I am interested in at the end of that is, hey, can I get you on videotape and interview you about your business? Can we set up some time where I can go interview you, Pina, about your speaking career? Joe, can I come out and introduce you to my network via video? Once I get 3 or 4 yeses, I'm done. Then I go enjoy the Triscuits and cheese cubes and I listen to everybody banter. And frankly, when I'm listening for people talking, I talk as little as possible. I listen because I'm going to see, A, does this person have any influence? And B, if they do have influence, somewhere in the conversation they're going to tell me something that they need and I'm going to be able to solve it. The cool thing for you guys is you have access to a network of people that you should be tapping into every single day. Your termite people, your escrow people, your loan officers, your mortgage folks. The people you deal with in a course of a transaction are all power players in your back pocket. Right? So let's get them online and let's digitize that interaction. And if we do that enough times, now when people are searching for Casey Eberhart, they're searching for Pina DeRosa, they go online and now they're doing that research on you for that referral. Think about this. If you're a realtor and you go do research on yourself and you find nothing, you know you're going to lose the business to somebody else. Can we just assume that that's the case?
Yes.
You guys are, frankly, there's too many of you, dime a dozen. You all know that. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. But now imagine if somebody goes to check you out online and it is hundreds of 5-minute interviews about you promoting somebody else's business and you educating the consumer on how to buy a house. What's in it for them? What things should they be looking for? Educate me on a foundation. Most people are looking for this stuff late at night. It's not during the hours of 8:30 to 5. They're at work, they're busy. Right? So they're searching for you in the middle of the night. Well, if they can't find you in the middle of the night and we don't know how to get a hold of you in the middle of the night, you lose. I mean, think about how you guys shop. right? You are in and out of a website in seconds. Maybe minutes if you're going to actually make a buying decision. So the other thing we got to do in this game is we got to give people a call to action. We got to tell them what we want them to do. Do you want them to call you? Do you want them to connect with you on Facebook? Do you want them to figure out how to send you an email? You got to tell people that. This is a game of creating a big digital footprint. And it starts with a decision to not allow yourself to get based and live in the technology trap. It's scary. I don't know how to do it. That's for kids. I don't know what to tell you. You have to start playing online. I work with a property manager up in Seattle. And he took over this property management firm, and he only had under contract about 100 doors. That's the term they use up there. They have about 100 doors. He said, Case, I have to double the business. I said, how long do we have to double the business? He said, 6 months. I said, that's easy. I said, the difference is in Seattle, there are a gazillion boutique property owners, property management firms. So we started going online. So I went to his staff and I said, hey, what do you guys look for online when you're trying to find somebody to manage your condo or manage your house? I literally made them write out what they're typing in Google. And then we just created blog posts and videos answering those exact questions. Now when he does a video, when he goes out, he doesn't go anywhere without a little flip camera or cell phone. And he takes a video. If he sees something about a plant or a foundation or something that would help increase a listing or increase the value, he does a quick video on it. Hey, this is Brandon Buchlich from Allegro Realty. I just want to let you know that I walked into this house and we are in a predominantly Christian neighborhood, and there, I don't know what they're called, I can't remember the name of the thing, that in the Jewish faith they put on that you put on the door. He goes, if I was going to sell this house, I would probably remove that just through the listing because we don't want to alienate anybody in the buying process. Thanks, have a great day. That goes up on YouTube. How to sell a house faster. That's the tip. Now you go search Brandon Buchlich and you see hundreds and hundreds of those videos, hundreds and hundreds of blog articles. He made the decision and the commitment to create digital assets. Right? You guys, I watched this morning, you took pages and pages of notes. Right? But if you don't do anything with those notes, they're gone. Right? I love what Joe said. Show me your plan. Right? Show me your plan. Well, if you don't have a plan except to come here and take 2 pages of notes and then close the notebook and put them off to the side until next week when he comes in, congratulations, you've got 2 pages of notes. Share those notes with your community. Build a tribe. Build a group of raving fans and then put a big-ass fence around them. You guys are in too risky of a category. Realtors come and go. Someone shows up, they've got the latest, greatest whiz-bang, whatever, they're hot for a few minutes. But the realtors that get in and understand technology and say, hey, you know look, I don't get what blogging is. I don't get what making YouTube videos is. I don't get what I should even be doing. Production over perfection. Try it. Right? I mean, imagine, so here's the deal. So let's take this a little bit further. Is it a good use of my time for William to set up a time to go talk to me at Starbucks? I'm a potential, let's call it I'm 50-50 whether or not I'm going to list my house. I'll put myself in kind of a buyer category. Is it effective for him to take me to Starbucks and try to sell me on a listing? Yes?
Yes. 50?
Yeah, I'm 50. I'm kind of, you know what, I could either rent it or sell it, I don't know.
Of course.
You say, of course. Anybody say it would be a complete colossal waste of time?
No.
I actually think it's a complete colossal waste of time. I know it's probably not surprising.
Because you're not qualified.
I'm not qualified. He hasn't put me through any test to even see whether I'm qualified. It's just so he can feel good about having an appointment. Right? Now imagine if William, in the same scenario, William says to me, hey Casey, you know what? Before we go sit down, I am so busy, because he's actually busy. I want you to go watch a series of these 10 videos about how we get pre-qualified and what I look for in a client when I decide to work with them. after you watch these 10 videos, if you're still interested in getting together, shoot me an email back and we'll go sit down and talk. I'm just giving him his time back. Right? Here's the other thing. If William and I go and sit down for coffee, looking at the two of us, I'm guessing it probably only takes us a few minutes to get ready. Right? Ladies, it probably takes you a little longer. You got to put your face on and do all this stuff. Then we both got to drive to the Starbucks, stand in line, order the Starbucks, drink the Starbucks. He yammers about me, I yammer about him. We talk for, let's say, an hour. Then we get in our car and we go back into our car. And what's the first thing both of us do when we get in the car?
Waste of time.
What a waste of my time.
Waste of your time, and then what?
Check your voicemail.
Check your voicemail. You go right back into a digital environment. So we get to take a little rest for a couple of minutes out of the digital world. And then we're not even in our car yet before we've got our cell phones out checking who's called. I got to get busy on that wheel. Meanwhile, let's say this. Let's say William says, you know what, Case? Let's talk online. Let's get on a Google Hangout, which is basically a free tool that Google gives you. And by the way, Google owns everything. You can make the decision not to play in Google. That's cool. Or you can make the decision to play. I mean, once Al Gore invented the internet, Google came in and bought everything. Right? So Google gives you this free tool where he can be on camera, I can be on camera. We can hit the record button. The second we're done, it uploads to William's YouTube channel. Instantly like that. Video done. Now, somebody goes and searches William, what's your last name?
Ordonez.
What is it?
Ordonez.
I'm just going to say O. Right? So if somebody goes and looks up William online, and he has a video that shows himself and Casey Eberhart, is it possible that that video will be seen by more than one person over the course of a year?
Yes.
Right? So now that video becomes an asset that can produce him unlimited leads and opportunities. Now, if he's done it right, he's talking with me because for some reason he thinks I'm a person of influence, right? I'm a speaker. I speak all around the world. Is it to his advantage when somebody looks up me online to have his video number 2? It's huge. Now imagine doing that over and over and over again. It's lather, rinse, repeat. This is not complicated. Right? So we meet those 5 people. Now what we want to do is we want to get them on a video, right? This is my friend Bruce Waterman. He travels the world with me as my videographer. He digitizes every single presentation I do. Why is that important?
So you have more assets online.
Thank you. I have more assets online. I mean, think about it. So, as a speaker, this is just a fact. This isn't me making mumbo jumbo up. Pina will probably attest to this. As a speaker, I work more than almost every speaker I know. I do about 18 presentations a month. I travel the world and speak in front of rooms from 2 to 2,000, 5,000 people at a time. Right? What are we going to call this? You want to call this 20 people in the room? 30 people in the room? Let's call it 20. What's more important from my perspective? What's more important? Is it important for me to be having a conversation with the 20 of you? Or is what's being recorded here the valuable asset?
What's being recorded.
It's what's being recorded, right? So because more than 20 people will see this video over the course of time. So as a speaker, I want to be hired. I want to be brought into events, associations, trade groups, so on and so forth. I do not have a business card. I do not have a resume. Dina laughs at me. I don't have a one-sheet. I don't have a sizzle reel. I don't have any of the things that the vast majority of speakers have. But what I do have is about the first 200 pages on Google of digital assets. Right? It scared me when Mike stand up here and says, well, I found this online. It scares me because what I was talking about a year ago in technology may not be today. I'm just getting nervous what he's going to read up here. Right? But he was able to go online without my knowledge, pull that, and now read it to you. If you didn't have anything online, you're just floundering. And then you get to run around town saying you're being busy about being busy. I'm going to challenge you to make the commitment and the decision to start enhancing your online presence starting today. It's not hard. It takes 30 minutes. Enough for you to get hung up on 3 or 4 times in a day. Right? And it's not easy. It's not complicated. Some of you will go out and start making videos, and that'll be a huge step in the right direction, and then you'll look at the videos and you'll just be like, oh my gosh, I need to steam out that bed sheet I put behind me that still has the folds in it. Right? And here's another thing about video. You look and sound exactly how you look and sound. If you think you don't look and sound like you look and sound, I'm sorry, you do. So how you show up in a video is how you're showing up in life and how you're showing up at networking events. You go, oh, I don't want to be on video. Then why would you go out into the world and put yourself in the world? Right? Ladies, here's just a little tip. If you're going to do videos and you're all cranky about making sure your face is on and you look really great, then you know what you do next time you're going on a date with your significant other? Get yourself ready an hour ahead of time and set up the video camera and pop off 12 5-minute videos about real estate while your face is on. Right? Then you're golden. Then you go out, have a good time, kick your heels up, get sweaty, lose the face. It's good. But at least you have the digital asset. That thing will produce results for you forever. Forever. Okay? So, yes?
Do you have a technician that you can recommend to, convert my audio into uploadable,
Bruce
digital
Waterman.
assets?
Bruce Waterman, right here. That's what he does. He travels with Pina. There's a whole group of speakers that hire him. Last night, I felt bad for him. I had to put it on Facebook. I have over the next 5 days 4 presentations. One of which, I don't know what the promoter wants me to sell at the end of it. So we had to last night go create 3 PowerPoints, several different sales sheets, so that when I show up for rehearsals tonight, I can say, okay, I already have the presentation done. You got to have a good technician. Well, you don't have to. You can use Google Hangout. That's the easiest way to do it. But when you take this...
I have a bunch of product on my phone that I want to...
Get them into YouTube.
How do some of the files are too large. I just need to know how to
Make it work.
transfer.
Make the decision that you're going to learn how to do that.
Right.
Or make the decision that you're going to talk to Bruce and figure out how to do it.
Okay.
It's not hard. You're stopped in your own way. Right? You got that cold. You got the umbrella. It's in the trap. Oh, I don't use a smartphone. Oh, I don't... You got to get over it. You just do. You just got to get over it. Or not. And if you don't, you should try to figure out how to go work for an 18-year-old in 3 years, and you won't be able to figure it out because they aren't going to send you a paper application to spell check. They're going to send it via Instagram. And so if you don't know what Instagram is, now you got a second problem. Right? My group of mentors, Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins, and a group of 15-year-olds. Because I speak in rooms all the time. I say, how do you guys buy? I'd much rather take marketing opinions and advice from a bunch of soccer moms than a marketing agency. Why? Because a marketing agency is going to try to sell me all this whiz-bang stuff, and they don't know how anybody buys anything. Meanwhile, I talk to a bunch of soccer moms. They tell me I'm buying on my phone, I'm at a soccer practice, I'm in between things, I'm listening to tapes in my car, I'm buying online. I'm going where the customers are. I'm setting myself so apart from my competition, it's ridiculous. Okay? So, we take this formula, we do the digital networking, we take the Google Hangout, and I'll give you guys a Google Hangout training for free. I'll show you exactly where to go. If you go to that 12-step roadmap at the bottom there, there's a button up at the top that says presentations, and it literally says Casey's presentation. It's my slide deck from the main presentation I do. And at the bottom it says, for your free Google Hangout training, click here. You just go and it's a checklist that walks you straight through how to do it, line by line. Okay? It's creating a digital asset. If you do it by yourself, click the record button. Hey, today I went on a listing and the ant problem was absolutely insane. If you have ants inside your house, you need to put salt around or whatever the homeopathic way to get rid of ants is. That's education. Now think about somebody trying to sell their house. They know they're not going to get the highest price because they have ants. Give them a way to contact you, and now you do that over and over and over again. Right? So, on the right-hand side is all about publishing content. I tried to do this in an easy formula for you. So you create the asset, whether it's a blog post, a radio show, I tell everybody, go start a radio show. Go to Blog Talk Radio. You can start a real estate radio show for free. It's a half hour of your time. Everyone goes, what am I going to talk about? You get people of influence to come as your guest on your radio show. If I was going to start a real estate radio show, you know who I'd bring on? All 5 people I met at a networking event. I'd bring on Joe, Mike, Pina, Bruce, people that have listeners already. You don't need an audience. You got to start somewhere and build it. Okay? So the way I put every post is the same thing. A picture, video, because people love video. The text of the video, because Google likes text. It can't watch video, but it can read text. And then a call to action, or a CTA, call to action. What do you want them to do? Call you, pick up the phone and call, connect with you on Facebook, so on and so forth. And then when you figure that little formula out, and that you've made that decision to do one, the second one becomes easier. The third one becomes easier than the second one. In the same way that when you've been cold calling, if you are used to cold calling, for you it's totally easy, you don't even think anything about it. I start and somebody says, here's a list, call these people, I'm out. Like, I'm going back to Target and getting a job. Because it's scary. But I pick up the phone once and I realize, oh my gosh, you know what? That phone doesn't actually burn my ear when I touch it to it. So the second one becomes a little bit easier. And then the third one, when someone screams at you and hangs up on you and tells you to go someplace that you don't want to go, it becomes a little easier. Same with video and text and blogging and all that stuff. It becomes easier as you do it. The reason that there are realtors that are gurus and are considered gurus is only because they have figured out the formula. Rather than making a bunch of outbound calls, they have figured out how to create so much real estate in the internet marketplace that they have people calling them. And trust me, I don't know anybody who would not rather take a call than make a call. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And that way when your referrals are out looking at you online, now they're finding you. And you're beating out William.
My most recent client said I had a good online review, and that's why she called me, and that's why she went with me. So
Right.
I figure
A
I need to
good
do more.
online review. Awesome.
Right.
What's the challenge with that?
Make more.
A denotes singular. What if, even if you just went back and asked all your past clients to do a 30-second testimonial of you on video? Go to your escrow agent. Go to your termite people. Go to your, what else do you guys, the locksmith. Silly as it sounds. Think if William goes to his locksmith and says, hey, I want to do a testimonial about your business. We talk about his business a bit. We give him the website in the video. Hey, go visit johnslocksmith.com if you want to connect with him. Now people looking up locksmith are going to be introduced to William. And the reality is that locksmith is actually going to go promote the video more than not promoting another realtor that's taken an interest in their business. Does that make sense? Joe, does that make sense?
Absolutely.
You guys, has this been helpful?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So, any questions?
What's our call to action?
That is a great question. Bruce is going to hand you out another sheet that is literally called, in my internal office, it's called my CTA form, my call to action form. Okay? Now, you're going to see a section on there that says for sales of something. I'm not even going to tell you what I'm selling. I don't want to sell you anything. Right? I'm not even going to go down that road. This is just a way for you to stay in contact with me. Okay? Now, in that section, below the part where I talk about DNet, now I am the CEO of DNet, which is a content distribution network that helps you get that content out into the marketplace in Google faster than your own website. But that'll be for the next, we'll talk about that next time, if I'm lucky enough to be asked back. Okay? So what I'd love to do is, if you want to connect with me, you're not going to get a bunch of spam from me. You get maybe one email a week telling you about a marketing and sales call I do once a week. It's open to anybody. We have between 800 and 1,000 people on the call every week. If you want to be on that email list, I'm going to need your name and email address. You want to unsubscribe, hit unsubscribe. I take unsubscribes totally personally, so I have it set so I don't get to see when you unsubscribe. Because that is a trap for me. When somebody that I know unsubscribes from my email list, I have a total panic attack freak out because they've unsubscribed from my list. So I just set it up so that I don't get to see it. Right? Maybe that's the chicken way out, but it's how I avoid that trap. Right? Okay? Now, I am fairly connected. So in the centerpiece there, you'll see that I'd like more information on. if there's something there that piques your interest that you want me to contact you about, I'm happy to do that. Okay, I'm pretty much a no pressure, no obligation kind of guy. Either take what you like, leave the rest. So I would love to be able to collect those at the end, and I'll tell you what. If you want to do a little banter back and forth and get on a Google Hangout with me, as long as you go to that 12-step roadmap and you learn how to do Google Hangout, you want to touch base with me and you and I get on a Google Hangout, we hit record and it gets uploaded to a YouTube channel, I'm happy to do that. Why would I be willing to do that?
You got one more.
I got one more digital asset out there potentially producing a lead and opportunity for me over and over again. Also, I have a lot of people searching for my name, and it helps you as well. Okay? So, Pina, I want to thank you for just being who you are. And you guys all know Pina? She's awesome, is she not? Right? And, you know, I step forward and put myself right in that target every single time. Have you done that one out here? Where you stand in the circle? Oh, never mind. Then you'll get that on the next one.
Oh, maybe last year, yeah.
Okay. Joe, I want to thank you for just being awesome. This is no joke, you guys. I literally do sales meetings in real estate offices about 50 times a year. Once a week, probably I'm in a real estate office. And out of all of them I have ever done, if I ever become a realtor, I'm coming to Joe's office. Because what happens is, I don't think you understand, or maybe you do, the absolute power that hour has.
Yep.
I mean, personal development, as a guy that speaks on personal development stages all over the world, I literally said to him, the first thing I said is, I gotta get you on stage. Like, I don't know, I gotta figure out how to get you in front of the groups of people I'm in, because what he says is absolutely true. So I would make the decision to get here every Thursday morning at 9 o'clock or 8:30. And don't be late. The decision to look pretty is not as important as the decision to be here. Okay? Mike, I want to thank you as well for having me out and being just absolutely fantastic and cool, and I appreciate it.
We appreciate your enthusiasm.
So, thank you guys. Anything I can do, let me know.